A gorgeous, cloudless night in the Valley of the Sun. We're at Surprise Stadium. And tonight on TXA 21, more Cactus League baseball coming your way as the Rangers play host to the Cincinnati Reds. And welcome, Dave Barnett, along with Tom Grieve. Only about a week left here in Surprise for the Rangers. And as you get closer to the regular season, a lot of times, Tom, and tonight is the case, you'll see something more resembling the regular season product.
Yeah, you really do, Dave. Up until this point in time, you'll see a scattering of regulars. Most of them only play 5 or 6 innings. But now you come down to the last week, and for instance, tonight, we'll see the regular Ranger lineup. As we mentioned during the game the other day, Ron Washington will start to manage these games a little more like regular season games. You'll start to use the bullpen a little bit differently, maybe changing pitchers in the middle of an inning. You might not pinch hit, but you might hit and run, you might bunt a little bit more. So the games will start to resemble regular season games. The guys start to get a little more serious, pick up the pace, because they know it's getting close to the regular season.
Rangers will start Scott Feldman tonight. Several times already this spring, he has looked in regular season form, and he'll be matched with the veteran Jeff Francis of the Reds. We'll have the lineups in the first pitch coming your way next. On TXA 21 is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. By TXU Energy, the right things right now. Call 866-CALL-TXU today. And by InsuranceDepot.com. Get a car insurance quote in 5 seconds at InsuranceDepot.com. Wind's been blowing today. It is blowing right to left. Should help right-handed power hitters at Surprise Stadium tonight, where the Rangers host the 10-14 Cincinnati Reds. The Rangers come in with a record of 6-16 with one drive, one draw. They are 15th in the Cactus League. The pace being set by the Oakland A's, who are 14-5. Last full week of training camp. Rangers will break camp on the 1st of April next week, head home. A couple of more preseason games, but they won't be here in Arizona before they open the regular season a week from Friday at the ballpark against the Chicago White Sox. And the Rangers take the field, and they will face this Dusty Baker starting lineup for Cincinnati. Willie Harris playing second base and leading off. Wilson Valdez is at third. Todd Frazier in right, and the cleanup hitter in left field, former Ranger Ryan Ludwig. Juan Francisco is the DH. Veteran Miguel Cairo at first. Darrell Jones in center. Catcher is Ryan Hannigan. And Paul Janisch is at shortstop, and he will bat in the 9 spot against Scott Feldman.
Yeah, Scott will be stretched out for the 3rd straight time. I think when spring training is over, Scott might end up with as many innings pitched as any pitcher on the staff. His last 2 outings have been close to 5 innings, 4 1/3, 4 2/3, right around there. He'll be stretched out tonight, probably 85 or 90 pitches, 4, 5, 6 innings maybe. So it's a great opportunity for Scott to be ready as a starting pitcher if the need arises. If not, he'll have plenty of work and a good foundation to settle into the Ranger bullpen.
14 innings, only 2 walks against 11 strikeouts. He has had some good stuff. Ron Washington, Mike Maddox have been very complimentary about the return of his sinking and cut fastballs, the 2 pitches that were his keys when he was a 17-game winner in 2009 and the Rangers pitcher of the year that season. Last 2 years, though, drop off, totaling 9 and 12. Last year, 11 outings because of knee problems, leading to microfracture surgery. Only 2 of those were starts. Numbers were decent. 2-1. His ERA was 3.94. He was spectacular the first 2 rounds of the postseason, unscored on by Tampa Bay in the LDS and by Detroit in the LCS.
I think when he was all over and done with last season, he was confident that his arm was back, that his health was back, that the sinker was back, that the cutter was back, because he pitched well for the Rangers last year. And the confidence that he got in the postseason had to lead him coming into spring training feeling really good about himself, and he's looked that way in the spring too.
And he starts Willie Harris with a strike. Willie batting .242 this spring, former 24th round draft pick by the Orioles, 1999. That one sinks just out of the zone. This is the 3rd spring start, 5th appearance for Feldman.
Yeah, we might mention that Scott is pitching on 3 days rest after a start. You don't see that in spring training very often. Of course, the pitch counts are a little bit lower right now than they might be during the regular season. I think he threw about 80 pitches in that start.
Here's the 1-2 to Harris, and it's popped up out into shallow left field, and Elvis Andrus is there.
Dave, we were talking about the Rangers in the open playing their regular lineup. Cincinnati, on the other hand, have a hard time calling this a representative major league lineup. I don't think they've got anybody in their lineup that's on the all-star ballot. Ryan Ludwig might get some playing time for him this year. Miguel Cairo might be a utility guy. Paul Janisch might be a utility guy. Ryan Hannigan will catch a little bit for him, but there's not anything resembling a big league team here tonight for Cincinnati. Generally, you have to, out of respect for the fans and the other teams, send a little bit better team than this.
Well, here's Wilson Valdez. He's the 3rd baseman. Normally that will be Scott Rowland, as Feldman misses high. And Scott Rowland tearing it up, 9 for 15. It's the streak he's on. Valdez chops this one foul and evens the count at 1-1. Rowland limited to about half of last season. He had left shoulder problems that put him twice on the DL, and that's the guy Dusty Baker wants to pencil in every single night he can. 1-2 to Valdez. Todd Frazier is the right fielder tonight for Baker. He's in the on-deck circle. Two pitch. This one is popped up. Torrealba watches it sail just behind the screen, and it remains 1-2. Feldman also started the other Rangers Cincinnati meeting this year. It was the 6-2 loss Thursday in Goodyear. The Reds moved their training camp 3 years ago after 63 consecutive years in Florida. Got him to reach for one well out of the zone. Strikeout, out number 2.
In addition, we talk a lot about Scott's sinker, talk a lot about his cutter, but he also throws a good curveball, and there's an example of it right there. Continues to work on his changeup, which occasionally can be a pretty good pitch for him. But really, with the curveball combined with the cutter to go along with both fastballs that he throws, that's a pretty good repertoire right there, even without a changeup. Curveball serves almost like a changeup.
Curve there for strike 1 to Todd Frazier. 4 home runs for Frazier. That's tied for 3rd in the Cactus League. Feldman ahead of everybody here in the first.
I would have to guess that there's a lot of teams that look at the Ranger roster and see the depth they have in starting pitching and have to at least bring up, is Scott Feldman available? Because he could be a really nice addition to someone's rotation that didn't have the depth that the Rangers have. Another side of it is he's so valuable to the Rangers, I doubt that the Rangers would even entertain those conversations.
He's pitching now. 1-2-3, 2 strikeouts in the top of the first. The Rangers coming to bat. Scott Feldman, 12 pitches, 10 strikes, 2 strikeouts. As he sets down Cincinnati in order, here's Ron Washington's lineup. Ian Kinsler leading off at second. Elvis Andrus at short. Josh Hamilton is in center tonight with Adrian Beltre at third. Michael Young is the DH and bats fifth. Nelson Cruz is in right. David Murphy in left. Yorvi Torrealba the catcher. And Mitch Moreland batting ninth at first base. First pitch from 27-year-old Jeff Francis in there for a strike to Kinsler. And having an outstanding spring, getting 368. The number's not bad for Francis.
No, pretty good spring for Francis. Francis was a big draft choice for Colorado a while back. Can still be an effective pitcher, but he has to be pretty fine. His fastball is down a notch, somewhere around in the mid-80s, but he knows how to pitch.
Just misses and falls behind 3-1. 4 out of the last 7 games, Ian has had at least 2 base hits. 3 homers, that leads the club. Rangers have not shown a whole lot of power as a club. They're not scoring a whole lot of runs, period, of late. That one is smashed toward the corner. Long run for Todd Frazier. And he runs it down for a loud first out.
Francis was in the rotation all season long for Kansas City last year. He had 31 starts. And goes the other way with that pitch. And nice play by Frazier out there. Francis threw 183 innings. He was 6-16 for Kansas City. Had a couple of pretty good years with Colorado. Fairly high ERAs, but in 07 he was 17-9 with a 4.20 ERA. That was his best year. 9th pick in the draft in 2002.
Out of the University of British Columbia, is a native of Vancouver. No. Strike two to Elvis. Elvis's numbers from day one have been outstanding out here. Average of 381 coming in. Francis sets him down on 3 pitches.
And if your fastball is in the mid-80s, and that was his changeup in the mid-70s, you have that difference in speed of 8 to 10 miles an hour, and you can be very effective that way. All you have to do is look at someone like Jamie Moyer. You can have deception, and you can fool hitters without throwing 95 miles an hour.
So with 2 gone, first pitch inside to Josh Hamilton. Just starting to heat up a bit. 5 for his last 11. Chops that off of his leg, a ball and a strike. Really strange to look at this lineup and to see that Josh Hamilton and Adrian Beltre are both still looking for their first home runs. Josh has only driven in 2 runs. Beltre a little better than that, but 7 RBIs against a 2.11 average.
But there's one area of the game that's lacking now that you know won't be lacking during the season, and that's power and that's offense. So really, you look at a set lineup like the Rangers and you say, I hope they're healthy and I hope they're ready for the start of the season. And if they are, it's really insignificant what their numbers are in spring training.
They've spoiled us.
Well, they spoiled us, and they have track records, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like they're 38 years old and you're hoping they can hang on, or they're young coming out of the minor leagues and you hope they can play in the big leagues. Virtually every guy in the lineup has a proven track record, and you feel pretty confident that if they're healthy, they're going to approach those kind of numbers.
1, 2, 3 with 2 strikeouts for the Reds in their half. 1, 2, 3, 2 strikeouts for the Rangers in their half of the first. There is. The Texas Rangers game is a great place to host a party. Tickets for groups of 20 or more start at only $10. And all-you-can-eat seats for groups start at only $31. Reserve tickets for your outing at TexasRangers.com/groups or call 972-RANGERS. Neither team manages a base runner in the first inning. Scott Feldman here in the second to face Ryan Ludwig, Juan Francisco.
We got a pinch hitter. Something must have happened to Ryan Ludwig. It's Dorn pinch hitting.
Right after the first pitch. Well, it was going to be Ludwig.
I'm not even sure if Ludwig was in the outfield. I wasn't paying any attention. I just assumed that he was.
Well, we'll try to get to the bottom of this, but it is Danny Dorn.
Isn't the third baseman in Major League named Dorn?
Roger Dorn.
Roger Dorn.
Very good.
Wonder if it's any relation.
Corbin Burnson's
he was
best role ever.
Yeah, he was good in that.
He was good on LA Law. He was great in Major League.
Yeah, he was.
Feldman in the first threw a total of 2 balls among his 12 pitches. 2 balls and a strike here to Dorn. And a pop-up out into left field. And easy play for David Murphy. And that brings up the Reds' DH, Juan Francisco. Francisco, 24-year-old, non-drafted, signed in 2004. Has been hampered the last 2 years by 3 long stints on the disabled list. Before that, he was one of their up-and-coming prospects. 08 and again in 09, the Reds' organizational minor league hitter of the year.
Yeah, they've got a couple of guys that were non-drafted, and there's a difference between them. In Francisco's case, he wasn't drafted because he wasn't eligible for the draft. He's probably from the Dominican Republic.
Grounded sharply.
And then you've got Ryan Hannigan, who certainly was eligible for the draft coming out of college, but wasn't even drafted and was his way to the big leagues.
So Francisco, the game's first base runner on a sharp ground ball up the middle.
The ball sunk a little bit. He hit it on top of the ball, but got enough of it to shoot it up the middle. Well, Cairo's been around a long time, 37 years old, and still playing well. He was a good utility man for Cincinnati last year. He hit 265 and hit 8 home runs, had almost 250 at bats. Plays all over the field, playing first base today.
His numbers are just outstanding across the board. 4 for his last 6 to get the average up just under 380. He leads the Reds in 5 different offensive categories this spring. He's 3rd with the Reds. Good strike at the knees. Cairo up first with the Blue Jays, 1996. Then the Cubs, Tampa Bay, Cubs again, St. Louis, Yankees, Mets, back to the Yankees, St. Louis, Seattle, Philadelphia, now Cincinnati. And I lost count. We don't have time to count up all those moves.
Yeah, I don't know how many moves there were, but I think it adds up to about 9 major league teams.
Well, another base hit up the middle. And with 1 out now, 2 Reds aboard for Darryl Jones to try and drive in. Cairo now 5 out of his last 7. Bree Ford with your beat, Tori Alba. With Cairo at first, Francisco now at second. The center fielder, Darryl Jones, will be the batter. Darryl Jones out of Spring High School down near Houston, All-America wide receiver, good enough that he was recruited by the Texas Longhorns, the Miami Hurricanes. District long jump champion for Spring. Third round pick by the Cardinals in '05. Went the baseball route. But in 7 years, he is just a .257 career hitter and has only played 53 games as high as the AAA level. He's yet to stick with a big league club. That almost hits him.
He had played a sufficient number of minor league seasons with the Cardinals, so he was eligible for minor league free agency, and that's how he's come over to the Reds.
Only 1 run batted in so far. An opportunity here. Rangers have double played that. Feldman in the first inning never behind a batter. He's been behind all 4 batters he's faced here in the second. Taking a little too much time for Jones' liking. Throw back behind the runner, not quite in time to nab Francisco at second.
You get a good look at the same thing that Torrealba's looking at. Runner takes his secondary lead, throws down. Not a lot of daylight there, but that's something to work on in spring training too.
So the 2-2 pitch called strike 3.
That's almost the same pitch that he swung at on the pitch before it. Didn't do much with it, so he took it that time and got the called strike. Watch the glove and watch the ball. I don't think Torrealba even had to move his glove. Put it right on the inside corner, and Scott delivered it.
There's his 3rd strikeout, the 2nd out of the second inning. And here's the catcher, Hannigan. Hitting just 200. Yet to drive in a run. He is 6 for 30 in his first 16 games out here. Native of Washington, D.C. Like Francisco, was not drafted out of high school. Breaky ball for strike 1 there. Hannigan finally called up in his 6th season. And in 2009, his best year, he led all National League catchers in fielding percentage that year. Foul ball. Just off the backhand side for Adrian Beltre. And no balls and 2 strikes, and Feldman a strike away from getting off the hook here after consecutive 1-out singles by Francisco and Cairo. Scott's got another strikeout in him. He's already set down 3 Reds. Not fishing, so 1 and 2. Feldman last Thursday against the Reds, 4 to 3rd innings, 2 runs on 8 hits. He strung together 3 straight doubles in the first, and then Scott settled down, got 10 of the next 11 batters, 7 on groundouts. Another call, strike 3. Feldman with 2 strikeouts in each of the first 2 innings, and the Reds leave 2 aboard. It's new, it's better. It's the new Sonic Good. And by TrophyNissan.com. It is the beautiful batter's eye out in center field here at Surprise Stadium. 10 years now, the spring home of the Rangers. Shared with the Kansas City Royals, of course. Just another in a string of afternoons and evenings with perfect baseball weather. As Adrian Beltre looks at strike one to begin the bottom half of the second inning.
You know, just like the players, we're trying to get ready for the regular season. That's why we're entertaining cookie orders. We've already had some sent up tonight. So, have you had one? Had your chocolate chip?
I had two.
Two? All right.
Well,
then you should be just about ready for opening day. They come from Lynn and Dean Thurman from Grand Prairie. Second batch that Lynn has sent up to us. These were chocolate coconut chunk cookies. Very good. Thank you.
Belted to left field, and the Rangers have their first base hit. A scorcher out to Danny Dorn.
The way players think, the way a lot of us think, you know, you talk about the laws of average and all that kind of stuff. I think a perfect spring for a player is to kind of go through the first part of spring training, get your playing time in, swinging the bat okay, gear up, maybe right where Beltre is right now. You're hitting about, whatever, 220, 230. Not really getting a lot of hits, feeling pretty good though. And then the last week of spring training, just kind of start to turn it on, start to get hot just for the start of the season. That way you don't have one of those weeks in spring training where you go 14 for 20 and knock in 13 runs and go, man, I've only got so many hot streaks. I hope I didn't waste one in spring training. You know, that's probably a negative way to think, but I think that's the way a lot of us do think.
Kickoff throw almost gets away from Cairo. Probably like a pro golfer who makes every putt on the practice green.
I've said that. I don't make many putts, period, but a lot of times on the practice green, a long one goes in, and I go, oh, man, I just wasted that one. I know exactly what that is.
There's a strike to Michael Young.
Ryan Ludwig was sick, evidently, and that's why Danny Dorn is in for him.
Dorn in left field and becomes the Reds' cleanup hitter. Ludwig, the late scratch. Outside to Michael, 2 balls and a strike. Nelson Cruz will be next here in the Rangers' second. I think the mentality for Michael Young really is the same if it's the first time on the field in February or the last game of the World Series. Every at bat he treats the same. Shot to center, base hit. And Beltre up to second base. So the Rangers' first 2 batters of the second inning.
I think that's the kind of mentality that great players have. When you look at players that get 25 to 3,000, 2,500 to 3,000 hits, you have to have that mentality. There's a lot of players that get 1,800 hits that are very good players, but lack that kind of mentality to go up there and bear down every single at bat, play when they're hurt, stay in great shape. So their careers kind of fizzle out in their mid-30s. They let some at bats sneak away from them, and they end up with a very nice career, but they don't reach that elite status like Michael and great hitters do.
Cruz goes after the first pitch, and he sends Todd Frazier near the warning track. So there's the first out, plenty deep to get Beltre to third.
You have to have that kind of focus. You have to stay in great shape. Obviously, you have to avoid injuries. A lot of things go into becoming a great player, but I think the focus and just not giving at bats away as a hitter. You have some games where you're 3 for 3. The team's way ahead or way behind, and you come up for your 4th at bat, and you allow yourself to start thinking, hey, even if I make an out, I'm still 3 for 4. And bang, with that kind of thought process, you do make an out. Instead, Michael or Pete Rose, whoever the players are, George Brett, they go up there, I've got 3, and now I'm going to get my 4th one right here. They never allow themselves to think that way. The other thing you have to have is you have to have that competitive drive to want to play that long and that hard. There's no way Nolan pitches into his mid-40s, throwing 95 miles an hour, bearing down and pitching the way he did if he didn't have that competitive drive.
27 seasons. Still seems impossible.
A lot of us.
There's a liner that gets past Dorn and will roll for a while. Beltre scores. Young will move to third, an RBI double for David Murphy. Gives the Rangers a 1-0 lead.
Seems like every time we're doing a game that David's starting in, he's facing a left-handed pitcher. He gets himself an RBI right there. Just finishing up on Nolan there, you know, you would just think you get to 20 years, you're already going to be in the Hall of Fame. You've already set records, you've got no hitters, and you say to yourself, well, 20 years, that's good enough. I'm going to call it quits. But without that competitiveness, that's what drove a player like Nolan to pitch 7 more years after he turned 38 or 39 years old. Most of us don't have that drive. But it's going on. You want to prove yourself every day. You want to show the young pitchers that you're in better shape than they are, that you can pitch more innings, throw more pitches, outperform them on the field. And he basically did that the whole time he was with the Rangers, the last 5 years of his career. Come to spring training on March 1st, throw 40 minutes of batting practice, and then throw 5 innings 4 days later.
Torrealba with 2 in scoring position. Only 1 out, and the Rangers leading, trying to add to that lead. Waves a foul one in the dirt, and nothing in 2.
And here's where you need some focus. You're down 0-2. The infield's back. There's only 1 out. You got a man in scoring position at second, a man at third base that can score on a ground ball or a fly ball. The pitcher's not going to give you anything good. At least he's not going to try to give you anything good. You've got to be selective enough and try to get something that you can hit in the air to the outfield.
A little bit high with that one. Just finishing up thoughts on Nolan. How many years did we hear? Well, I guess Nolan's just going to pitch till his arm falls off. And that's almost literally what it took.
That's what he did. The funny thing about that is he had that serious injury. Then a couple of years later, he's throwing 90 miles an hour in batting practice over at TCU with all the kids.
Popped up, but Hannigan will have no play.
I think one of the most amazing things with Nolan that I witnessed when he was with us is during spring training, the Rangers sent down probably 25 of their best sponsors. And one of the perks that they got was to take batting practice on the regular field. Now, not only did they take batting practice, which you might assume was against a pitching machine or a coach, they had Nolan in full uniform throw like 35 or 40 minutes of batting practice to the sponsors. I mean, it was unbelievable.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, I was kind of looking out there going, I hope we know what we're doing. I mean, he's our best pitcher. He's 42 years old, and he's out throwing BP to the sponsors. They had, he was out there competing. If one of the sponsors looked like he hadn't played much baseball, Nolan threw it softly so he could hit it. If one stepped up there and knocked the dirt out of his spikes with his bat and took a stance and stared out at him, Nolan said, okay, here it comes. And he tuned it up a little bit. So he was still competitive even though he was pitching against the sponsors. Thank goodness he didn't get hurt doing that. But he knew himself. He knew what he could do.
I've never heard that story.
I don't think it'll be duplicated either. Then you look down after he pitched. You look down at the old office building with the stairs going up, and he'd be there with sneakers on and still had his uniform on going up and down those stairs. You start watching him in the 6th inning after he pitched, and then about in the 8th inning, he's still going up and down the stairs. Then after the game, you might sit out in the parking lot and sign autographs for an hour and a half.
Torrealba down on strikes. 3rd strikeout for Francis in the big 2nd out.
Yeah, he tried to get Yorvit to chase one, and he was successful. Fastball a little bit up and away.
So up to Mitch Moreland to try and turn this into a big inning. Started with a Beltre single. Young followed with a single as well. Cruz a fly to deep right. Beltre taking third. Murphy doubled him home. And Young to third. And a good breaking ball for strike one to Moreland.
The other funny story people tell about Nolan, they'd announce at the ballpark, Nolan Ryan will be signing autographs today. So everybody at the park could go out there, and it might take him 2 hours, but he'd sign every one. Sit out there in the parking lot. The line would stretch around the stadium. And maybe after an hour or so, some guy would come through the line, and Nolan would say, "You've already been through this line, haven't you?" He might have recognized your shoes or something.
Keeps a book on everybody.
He kept a book on the autograph seekers, too. Now, he'd sign the autograph. He was just trying to kid the guy a little bit.
Well, what you're talking about is amazing consistency in all its definitions. There's a base hit into left center field. Young scores. Murphy comes home behind him, and it's 3-0 Rangers.
Well, that's how you win pennants right there, with guys on the team getting big 2-out hits with men in scoring position. Lefty against a lefty. Francis made a great pitch and got an out with second and third and 1 out. Comes up against a left-hand hitter, almost on the verge of getting out of the inning. Instead, Mitch drives that high fastball in the left center field. 2 runs.
Key to the inning, too. Excellent at bats in the lefty-lefty matchups by Murphy and by Moreland. Pitch with his 4th and 5th spring RBIs. Back to the top of the order, and Ian Kinsler. Stopped by Hannigan. They worked the count full before flying to right, leading off the game. Rangers have been good with runners in scoring position all spring, hitting .317 as a team, but not lately. Over the last 6 games, they were just 7 for 36. That's 194. Murphy and Moreland maybe turning that on its heels, getting it going the other direction here in the second inning. Smash down the left field line and gone. Kinsler's 4th home run of the spring. A 2-run blast. It's a 5-run inning.
Well, Jeff Francis was terrific in the first inning. We got a fly ball and 2 strikeouts, but this inning there's been 5 hits, and every one of them has been a line drive. Beltre to left, Michael to right center, Murphy to left field, Moreland to left center, and now Ian pulled one down the left field line. 4 or 5 well hit line drives in this inning.
He set that on a tee for Ian Kinsler. No way that pitch is going to stay in this yard, and it didn't. Elvis Andrus struck out on 3 pitches in the first. So the Rangers spring home run leader already. Increases his total to 4. The RBI total now at 7.
We ought to mention the roster moves today, Dave. Mark Hamburger was optioned to the minor leagues. Sean Green was assigned to the minor leagues. He's not on the big league roster. And 3 Rangers were released: Joe Beimel, Mitch Stetter, and Connor Jackson. Starting to get down to the player line.
Wilson Valdez unable to pick that one and transfer to his throwing hand, so Andrus will reach.
Rangers now have 35 in camp. 8 of them are non-roster players. Roster during the season is 25, so starting to get down there. Well, he waited back for the big hop and then knew he was going to have to hurry because Elvis runs well, and in his haste to get rid of the ball, he couldn't come up with it. I'd written down error, but they gave him a hit. I guess they figured that he was going to beat it out even if he did catch it.
That's a pretty favorable ruling for Elvis there. Let's see, that turned into a base hit too often. But that's how it is officially scored.
like those during the regular season. During spring training, it doesn't matter much. I'd like to get those during the regular season. And the way that he played that ball, if he caught it, it was going to be a close play at first base. It's the kind of ball he probably needed to charge it a little bit better.
Francis turns 360. Tosses to Cairo, and at last, after batting around, the Rangers' second is over. But they pound out 5 runs on 6 hits, including a 2-run blast by Ian Kinsler. Is sponsoring this retro 1970s cap. It could be yours if you're among the first 30,000 in the ballpark on May 12th at 12:05 when the Rangers play the Angels. And what a fine model Captain serves as out there. The original Rangers cap, circa 1972, right there. So you come out for that and Rangers Angels. Well, Scott Feldman had a good long rest watching his teammates put 5 runs on the board in the second. And Paul Janisch leading off the Reds' third, and looks at a good breaking ball for strike 1.
Yeah, Scott has done a nice job early in the game dropping that curveball over for a strike. It's a good pitch to throw on the first pitch. If you can throw it for a strike, generally the hitter's not going to go up there and hack at the first curveball he sees, and if you can throw it for a strike, you just get ahead in the count nice and easily. 0-1. Throw a fastball right down the middle on the first pitch and you're liable to turn it around on you. That's why you hear pitchers call it a get me over curveball. It's not the one you're trying to throw to get a swing and a miss. It's the one you're throwing because you don't think the guy's going to swing at it.
High fly ball out to Murphy, drifting, and makes the catch to retire Janisch. So for Feldman, the first time through the order, Tom, 4 strikeouts and 2 harmless singles.
Yeah, he's made some good pitches. Good curveball so far today. Have a happy birthday wish. Elizabeth Harwell is 26 today. She's the daughter of Eric Josephson of our crew, more commonly referred to by us as EJ, or glass half full. We have a lot of nicknames for EJ. I kind of like glass half full guy myself.
Willie Harris trying to bunt his way on. He popped to short, leading off the game. Little bit high. You know, we had some other nicknames for Eric during the old Southwest Conference football. I cannot.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I just want to get that out there.
I haven't heard those. I just know the good ones.
Well, these are good. I just can't share
Oh.
with the hardest. Little broken bat bloop Run down by Ian Kinsler for out number 2.
Well, when Scott is really mowing him down, he'll throw the sinker and jam a right-hand hitter, and then he'll throw the cutter in and jam the left-hand hitter. And that's what's made Roy Halladay a Hall of Fame caliber pitcher, is his ability to do that one right after the other.
After the 2 singles in the second inning, 4 straight retired by Scott. Wilson Valdez was his first strikeout victim in the first. And 1 pitch. All it takes, Scott, to retire Valdez in a 1-2-3 third. Everything clicking so far for the Rangers. Bottom of the third, and Adrian Beltre goes after the first pitch and sends it just fair into the left field corner. Beltre led off the Rangers' second with a single. They ended up batting around and putting 5 runs on the board. Even more emphatic beginning to this Ranger third.
2 big swings going for it, and he's hit 2 ropes. The only reason they haven't been home runs, he just hasn't gotten them up in the air, but he's hit them right on the good part of the bat and taken his mid-season swing right there.
This is not a very heartening sight for Reds fans. They're expecting a good year from Jeff Francis. This is batting practice so far. Michael Young is now 2 for 2, and Dave Anderson puts the brakes on Beltre as he reaches third base. And with nobody out, runners are on the corners for Nelson Cruz. Beltre and Young jump on first pitches.
Well, with a man on second, nobody out, Michael's going the other way, trying to move him to third base. Love to get a base hit while you're trying to do that as well, and that's what he did. Love to know what percentage of Michael's hits in his career have gone to right field. I have to think it's more than half, but maybe that's just...
Do you think it's more than half, really?
It feels like it is.
Cruz sends that one out of play. He flagged to a fairly deep right his first trip. You know, say at least a third.
Yeah, it feels like it is because he's so good at it. He does it so frequently. But is that the reality? I don't really know.
You have to say as many as anybody you can name in baseball.
Yeah, he's the only guys that I remember that did it consistently like that with authority. Julio Franco was probably the best. Julio, when he was in a groove, hit the ball like a left-handed pull hitter almost. Shot those ropes out to right center field, just like the one he hit in the All-Star game in Wrigley Field to win the All-Star game.
1990. Right center field, and well hit off the wall. Beltre jogging home. Here comes Michael. He'll score without a throw. It's a 2-run double for Cruz and a 7-0 game.
Rangers haven't had one of these in a while. Perfect night for a ball game. A lot of Ranger fans in attendance. You got the regular lineup out there. Good night to have a game like this.
A bit of an inside-out power stroke by Cruz there. Nelly with his 7th and 8th runs batted in. Here is David Murphy, who doubled in a run and scored a run in the second. Francis just does not have a pitch he can rely on every time he throws it yet, or even most times he throws it. Just hitting some breaking balls, annihilating some fastballs. Using a fastball for a strike at the knees. So action out in the Cincinnati bullpen. Nick Christiani. One hopper, and Miguel Cairo will make the unassisted play at first for the first out of the 3rd inning and send Cruz to third base. Rangers have 9 base hits in this game already. Francis, in his first 4 appearances this spring, covering 13 innings, had allowed a total of 12 hits. 9 in 2 1/3 tonight against this Ranger lineup.
Yeah, actually it's 9 and 1 in the 3rd because he had a 1-2-3 first inning. Started out pretty good.
One thing continues in his favor. He has yet to walk a batter this spring. And he's able to dig that one out to Torrealba, who struck out his first trip. Francis looked very sharp in the first, retired the side in order, 2 strikeouts. And the Rangers have simply pounded him these last 2 innings. 2-0 to Yorvie. The pitch count getting up near 60. Starting to see pitchers go 4-5 innings. Some deeper than that. Unlikely for Francis tonight as many pitches as he has thrown. That one's in there for a strike. Well, the fans in Surprise have not seen this out of the Rangers. The Rangers are 1-10 in this stadium this year. Hard to imagine. Home run cut by Yorvie there, and it's 2-2. Center field, not all that deep. Carries better than it looked, though. Wind has really died down, but it is still blowing out. Darryl Jones brings in out number 2. Plenty deep for Cruz to score, though, on the sacrifice fly and make it 8-0. So Torrealba does the job. Drives in his 4th spring run. The Rangers put 5 on the board on 6 hits in the second. 3 more on 3 hits here in the third. Mitch Moreland had a big 2-run single came that second inning. And then he scored on the home run by Kinsler. Really been a tale of two springs for Mitch. Very slow out of the gate, but heating up since. His last 12 games hitting .412. But in those 12 games, even while he was going 14 for 34, not many men were on base. He only got one run batted in. He got two of those on one 0-2 swing in his first at bat tonight. Francis again ahead of him, 0-2. He lays off the curve in the dirt this time. This is the third night game this spring for the Rangers. Split the first two. Check swing. There are only two base umpires tonight. Home plate umpire is Toby Basner. And handling the bases are Brian Knight and Alan Porter. Also handling the appeal plays as well. 2-2 pitch. Moreland down swinging, but another big inning for the Rangers. 3 runs on 3 hits. The big blast, Nelson Cruz's 2-run double. Will be April 11th against the Mariners. You can save 50% on tickets for this ballpark tradition when you purchase them on TexasRangers.com. Get your Ozarka website Wednesday tickets and plan your trip to Dollar Dog Night at TexasRangers.com/specials today. You got your dollar dogs, but Tom, you also have the 1-pound hot dog, the 2-footer,
$26 dog.
Yes,
I'm predicting sometime during the season, Kurt Deichert's going to take a shot at it. I read where the concession company said it's not necessarily intended for 1. It's for 2 and maybe 3 people, sometimes 4, depending on the appetite. But they fully expect there'll be some people like maybe Kurt Deichert, David Murphy, who evidently has an incredible appetite, that will take a dare and go for it.
Well,
I might just buy one and bring it down to the truck at some point in time.
My money will be on Kurt to polish that baby off in about 10 minutes. And I very much look forward to that spectacle. But, you know, there have always been the innovations at Ranger baseball games. Nachos, of course, invented at Old Arlington Stadium.
Yeah.
You know,
the Rangers have
2-foot hot dog.
They have Dollar Dog Night. We mentioned that Kurt's son Fritz has gone to work for the Birmingham Barons in the Double-A Southern League. He reports back that they have 50-cent hot dog night.
Line drive, caught on a dive by Elvis Andrews, robbing Todd Frazier.
So there's a little bit of inflation at the big league level. You know, prices are probably very similar dog, but you get a little better deal. Reached out for a pitch down and away. Hit it pretty well. Looked like it had a chance to be a base hit. Not with Elvis out there, though.
Elvis just doing everything this spring. Swinging the bat well from day one. Showing greater defensive focus on the field, all around maturity. And rave reviews from Ron Washington. Here's Danny Dorn, a late addition to the starting lineup. Ryan Ludwig scratched due to illness. Dorn flied to left his first trip. Do you think there should be medical supervision when Kurt tries the 2-foot hot dog?
I think there should be. I think you should have a medic there. You know, at his age, you know, there's a little more risk involved than there would be for a younger guy.
Yeah, but he's got the experience advantage.
I wonder how much a regular hot dog weighs. Like, how many hot dogs is the 2-foot long hot dog? Is it like 5 hot dogs, or
that's
4, 5, 6 hot dogs?
That's a good question.
I don't know how many ounces a regular dog is.
I don't think they're a quarter pound. I mean, that's a good sized hamburger.
Yeah.
That one just misses. 3-2 to Dorn.
I bet you Joey Chestnut could pound it down, though. You know who Joey Chestnut is?
The competitive eating
yes.
champion? Yep.
Hot dog champ of the world. He's so good he threw out the first pitch in Oakland one day. So imagine that.
He's better than Kobayashi?
Well, I don't know if he's better, but he's right in the same league with him.
Rounded to Kinsler. I think it's very sad that you and I can name competitive eating champions.
The only reason I remember it is how astounded I was that he was honored with throwing out the first pitch at a major league ballpark. What's your claim to fame? I can eat 50 hot dogs.
I think Kobayashi's claim to fame is he refused to take part in subsequent 4th of July hot dog eating contests after he dominated the first couple. He thought he should get guaranteed money and appearance fees.
Yeah,
and such.
Well, you know, you're only as good as the last 50 hot dogs you ate. You got to prove yourself time and time again. I like the guys that are in the jalapeno eating contest. Imagine what their stomach must look like. Eat a couple hundred of those.
I think their brain doesn't look right.
No.
That's for sure. 1-1 to Juan Francisco, who has one of 2 Cincinnati hits, a 1-out single in the second. We need evidence of the decline of our civilization. Look no further than the competitive eating field.
We're just a competitive country. Like to compete.
This game not very competitive at all. Rangers got 5 in the second, 3 more in the third. Off of Jeff Francis. Scott Feldman with 4 strikeouts and only 2 hits allowed. As Francisco looks at a sharp curve, and it's 2-2.
Yep, Scott continues to drop that curveball in there for strikes.
Call strike 3.
Good pitch. Same pitch he struck Darryl Jones out with, a fastball right on the inside corner.
8 straight retired by Feldman. Baseball on TX 821 is brought to you by Whataburger. Proud to serve it hot and fresh 24 hours a day. And by Toyota of Dallas, your Toyota connection. Bottom of the fourth, Dave Barnett along with Tom Grieve in a Ranger rout in progress. It is 8-0. Top of the order against Jeff Francis. Kinsler is flied to right. And last time up, drilled a 2-run homer to left. Kinsler, Andrews, and Hamilton here in the Ranger fourth. Francis retired the side in order, those three in the first inning. And almost nothing has gone his way since then. Second inning started with singles by Beltre and Young. Murphy, RBI double. Moreland a 2-run single. Kinsler a 2-run homer. And then in the third, Beltre led with a double. Young a base hit. Cruz doubled them both home. He scored on a sac fly by Yorvi Torrealba. Oman was Ian's fourth in the spring. He leads the Rangers. This one driven high, deep into foul territory and finally up into the seats. As Danny Dorn gave chase.
I got a feeling he's going to give it to a little kid. Let's see. Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice. Good move. Right up there with the net man. No one's given more balls to kids than the net man.
Some of the kids riding the merry-go-round over there behind the stands down the right field line. Yeah, that might be chased down. In fact, there they go, chasing that foul ball down. Activities for all ages here at Surprise Stadium. Base hit. Kinsler second as he shoots it past Valdez. Boy, the number of hard hit balls served up by Francis. Really pretty astounding to still only be in the fourth inning.
Ian stands right on the plate, and one of the reasons he does is because he knows he can handle the inside pitch. Very tough to throw a fastball by him. And he's also fearless. For a lot of us, it's uncomfortable to stand that close to the plate because you don't want to get hit by the ball. He stands right on top of the plate, doesn't give an inch. He'll let him, he won't move on a ball that's an inch away from him. And if you think, you see he's right on the plate, boy, I can just throw that fastball in the inside corner. Good luck.
2-0 to Elvis, who struck out in the first. He's given a favorable scores ruling in the second, a high chopper that Wilson Valdez was then able to get to his throwing hand. Instead of an E5, it was ruled an infield single. Just low, 3-0. Here's a spring baseball question for you. It's 8-0, but spring is about working on things, getting ready for the regular season. Does that include stealing bases in an 8-0 game?
I would say probably not in this game with the Ranger regulars playing. Probably not. I think they'd probably play this very similar to a regular season game. Now, if you had a team maybe like the one Cincinnati is sent over, where they've got some younger players who might be trying to make a team and they're working on that, maybe. But I think managers would be reluctant to do it even in a spring training game.
Rusty Baker, pitching coach Brian Price out to the mound. That is the first walk issued this spring by Francis in 16 innings. First base on ball he has allowed. He's thrown 71 pitches. Pitch count probably very close to what they hoped to get out of him. The quality of the pitches, a whole different story, because the Rangers have swung the bats as well tonight as they have at any point in this Cactus League season. Josh Hamilton has struck out and bounced to the mound. Josh came in swinging a fairly hot bat. He had hit in his last 3 games 5 for 11. Only one other Ranger is without a base hit at this point, and that's Torrealba, who has a sacrifice fly. The bat goes flying out
Base
the
hit.
short right. Wow.
It's a long range toss right there.
That's got to be pretty close to a personal best on the bat toss.
Fair territory, I think you're probably right. Josh has launched quite a few of them into the stands that might have rivaled that one, but as far as distance in fair territory, you might be looking at the all-time best right there.
Maybe he should think about trying out for the javelin for the London Olympics. Well hit center field. Darryl Jones can't get it, and it's off the top of the wall. Kinsler and Andrews both home on a double by Hamilton. 10-0.
That ball was a rope. That just ate up Darryl Jones in center field and would have eaten up most center fielders. The hardest play for the center fielders, that line shot hit directly over your head. And Josh hit that right on the sweet spot of the bat. It just jumped out there 400 feet to dead center. I think Jones might have thought right here he has a chance, but as he took 3 or 4 steps, he knew he wasn't going to get to it. It was just hit too hard.
That will finally spell the end of the night for Jeff Francis. Hamilton with the crowning blow here, the 2-run double, and he doubles his RBI total for the spring. He had 2 coming into that at bat. 10-0. Thousand kids ages 13 and under will get this adorable snow monkey on July 1st, 6:05. The Rangers play Oakland, sponsored by Chicken Express. This fuzzy little guy wears Nolan Ryan's number and is a nod to a famous Gordon Keith bit on the ticket, Dallas Fort Worth. Yes, there is a snow monkey, and you can have one if you're 13 and under on the 1st of July. That involved the snow monkeys overrunning the land on the Ryan Ranch in South Texas. If I remember right, he had a snow monkey break into his house at night and braided Nolan's hair.
Wow, that's some kind of monkey.
Very odd occurrence. Let's turn it into a promotion. Nick Christiani takes over for Jeff Francis, who went 3 innings plus 3 batters. Charged so far with 10 runs on 11 hits. He struck out 4, walked 1, and Christiani now goes after Beltre.
Well, Christiani has been a relief pitcher throughout his minor league career. Signed in the 13th round out of Vanderbilt.
One and one to Beltre, who was 2 for 2, singled and scored to kick off the 5-run Rangers second, led off the third with a double, scored then as well. Only in the 4th inning, and yet all but 2 Rangers have scored. Hamilton and Torrealba. They have driven in a total of 3 runs between them. And a base hit, and Hamilton joins the ranks of the Rangers who have come all the way around. 3 balls and a strike to Beltre. Three Rangers already with multi-hit games tonight. One pitch popped well back out of play, and now a full count for Adrian.
As we were talking early in the game and in the open to the game, it's right about that time where you want to see the guys kicking into gear the last week as you get ready for the start of the season. And if tonight is any indication of what the last week is going to be like, looks like the hitters are starting to get it into gear.
Yeah, this has just been a fearsome pounding up and down the lineup. Beltre's ball will stay in the yard, run down on the track by Danny Dorn. And Hamilton returns to second base.
3 good at bats for Adrian tonight, a single and a double, both hard hit, a long fly ball to left center.
We have the same wind that we had the first couple innings. That one might have gone, but now the wind has completely died down here. There is the first out of the 4th. And brings up Michael Young. He's 2 for 2. 2 singles, 2 runs scored. He's now hit 12 of his last 13 games. This lineup definitely due for an explosion like this. Record bearing no resemblance to the ability. 6-16 and a tie coming into tonight. But, Thomas, it's almost as if they said as a group, okay, now it's time to really start fine-tuning. Regular season starts next week, because these have been some very focused professional at-bats.
Occasionally there's some things in spring training that you might worry about depending on the makeup of your team. But as we've already said, one thing that you absolutely don't worry about is the offense. Offense is filled with all-stars, 6 or 7 all-stars in the lineup. They've all got track records. They're all in their prime. And when the bell rings, they'll start to hit. And when the season's over, they'll score a lot of runs.
Credit goes to man you just saw, Scott Coolbaugh. Came on about a third of the way into the season as hitting coach last year. The players talked about how relaxed and focused he helped them be at the plate. Focused on what they do well, enhancing the strengths, and worried about the weaknesses and how to improve those, but the results were certainly there. A huge part of the club record 96 win regular season and second consecutive World Series. Gianni has worked the count full to Beltray before the long fly ball, and now Michael Young will wait for a 3-2 pitch. Nelson Cruz is on deck. In on the fists. Tough play. Valdez has no play. And Michael Young is 3 for 3.
It's just one of those nights. The hard hit balls are falling in, and a couple little dribblers have ended up as infield hits.
Valdez wisely not thinking about making a throw here. No chance to either base. So 1 out, 2 runs in. Runners on the corners. And Nelson Cruz has hit it well both times. A fly to deep right. And last time up, a 2-run double. Off the glove of Valdez. And Hamilton comes home. And it's 11-0.
Find out whether it's a hit or not. It's definitely an RBI.
So with Hamilton home now, every Ranger except Torrealba has already scored in this game.
And it does go as a hit. Like a catchable ball by Valdez, but you never know about the light. Sometimes those high choppers go right through the lights. It's just like losing the ball, and it can be just like losing the ball in the sun.
Murphy kind of a swinging bunt on the first pitch. Out number 2, but the runners move up. Young now to third, Cruz to second with 2 outs. Through 3 2/3 innings, 11 runs on 13 hits. Reds, no runs on 2 hits. And here's Torrealba. A strikeout and a sacrifice fly. Tom, I just cannot remember a game this early where 8 of the 9 guys in the lineup have scored. Just remarkable.
Yeah, it's definitely an unusual game like that.
Torrealba's RBI in the 3rd was his 4th of the spring. The thing that stands out about Torrealba's spring is he has been gunning down base stealers. 5 out of 6 he has caught stealing, including a couple of San Francisco Giants on Friday. Mike Napoli healthy enough to do some catching as well. After coming into camp with some questions about the high ankle sprain suffered in the World Series and then a groin injury early on. But both the Rangers catchers, knock on wood, look like they will be all set to go. Regular season begins a week from Friday against the Chicago White Sox. 3-1 to Torrealba. Mitch Moreland in the on-deck circle. Rangers batted around in the 2nd, and if Torrealba reaches, they will bat around again here in the 4th. And he reaches on a base on balls. The walk has not played a big role. That's only the 2nd walk they've both been this inning. Elvis early on walked on 4 pitches. Now Torrealba taking first. Bases are loaded. Mitch Moreland had a 2-run single on an 0-2 pitch in the 2nd and struck out to end the 3rd.
If you're in Arizona on vacation from Cincinnati as a Reds fan, you're not too happy tonight. You weren't too happy before the game started when you looked at your scorecard and saw the lineup and didn't recognize most of the names. and then it's 11-0 in the fourth inning as you're watching the Rangers pound a team that you don't even recognize. So for those fans, I wouldn't say there's a whole lot of joy in the game tonight. For everybody else, we're pretty happy with it.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of times where what appears to be the case on paper is anything but on the field, but not tonight.
Not tonight. Those reverse locks, as you like to call them.
Cristiani consistently behind Mitch now 2-1. Young down at third after an infield hit. Cruz at second after an RBI single. Torrealba
Reds
first
radio.
after the walk. Those guys are
Reds
they have their
radio
hands
guys
full.
are pretty happy.
They have their hands full, yes. Our friend Tom Brenneman having to call play-by-play on this rather downbeat affair from the Cincinnati Reds perspective. Tom there on the right.
Really good Ranger fans from way back when might recognize his partner. His partner was a left-hand pitcher. Pitched in the Rangers organization for a while, Chris Welch.
Another full count. The fourth 3-ball count to the 6 batters that Nick Cristiani has faced here in the fourth inning. So runners will get a head start here. And the 3-2 pitch is fouled off. Mitch had 1 RBI over his previous 12 games. Well, he'd hit well over 400. 2 RBIs on 1 swing of the bat in the second. And an RBI here on a bases loaded walk. 12-0. So Michael Young scores. It's a 4-run fourth. Cruz to third, Torrealba to second.
Scott Feldman's going to have to go warm up out in the bullpen to get ready for the next inning.
Well, he's had 2 extended vacations, the second and the fourth innings.
That's one thing, evidently, that Darvish has talked about that's very different from Japan. In Japan, if you're not happy with the way you're throwing the ball or you have an extended inning like this, you can just go outside the dugout while the game's going on and throw and warm up. I guess they do it frequently over there. He's had to get used to not being able to do that over here.
That's Travis Webb out of the Reds bullpen. So the Rangers send at least 10 to the plate here in the fourth inning. Ian Kinsler got it started with a single on a 2-2 pitch against the starter Jeff Francis. Back in the second. His 4th home run of the spring. On the rooftop of the visitors' bullpen out there in left field. So Ian batting for the 4th time already.
Well, Cristiani has a good sinker. The ball has a ton of movement. Unfortunately, they're moving right out of the strike zone for him, though.
Foot closed on Francis in his 3 innings. 11 runs on 11 hits, 4 strikeouts, a walk. Cristiani has thrown 30 pitches this inning, and there were 3 batters before he came in. 3 crooked numbers after remarkably the Rangers were retired in order in the first.
Another good sinker. He's trying to, I think, just locate it in the middle of the plate, let the movement take care of it. It's just sinking too much.
Check swing foul, another full count. First inning, it looked like Jeff Francis had it going. He got Kinsler to fly out, struck out Andrews and Hamilton. Boy, did that not turn out to be the case. Rangers got 5 runs on 6 base hits in the second. Inside of the knee for the catcher Ryan Hannigan there. Big blows in the second inning. Moreland's 2-run single, Kinsler's 2-run homer. In the third, Cruz a 2-run double. Popped up. First baseman Cairo squeezes it, and at long last, from the Reds' perspective, the nightmarish 4th inning is over. The Rangers come up with 4 more runs on 4 more hits. After 4, it's 12-0. The 5th inning here in Surprise Stadium, and the Rangers pounding away at the Cincinnati Reds. 12-0, out hitting Cincinnati 13-2. They've run it along with Tom Grieve. The offense has come from up and down the lineup. Everybody has contributed from that standpoint. And Scott Feldman has been almost untouchable. He gave up a couple of singles in the second inning, but has retired 8 straight. He has struck out 5 through 4. He has yet to walk a batter. In fact, has only gone to a 3-ball count once. And here in the 5th, Miguel Cairo, Darryl Jones, and Ryan Hannigan. And again, a very well-rested Feldman takes the mound. Rangers have had a couple of half-hour innings, or so it seems. Somewhere around 40-45 pitches thrown between Francis and Cristiani in the Ranger 4th. Cairo had one of those 2 second-inning singles. At that point, it was still 0-0. It looked like the Reds might get themselves an early lead. Josh Hamilton puts this one away. But Feldman was able to come back with 2 on, 1 out, and strike out Darryl Jones and Ryan Hannigan. So there's been one really difficult defensive play turned in behind him, and that was by Elvis Andrews. Made a diving catch of a line drive by Todd Frazier leading off the 4th. Everything else very routine. So here is Jones. And that's past Kinsler. And the Reds have their 3rd base hit. That hit especially hard, but placed especially well. So that ends 9 straight retired by Feldman. And here's the catcher, Hannigan, who was caught looking to end the second inning. Paul Yanish is on deck. Back to the top of the order in Willie Harris. Good pitch there for a strike. Cincinnati, disappointing 79 and 83 last year. That was third in the National League Central. 17 games behind the Brewers, who, like the Rangers, won 96 games.
A good changeup from Scott right there. Scott's sinker been somewhere around 90 to 92 miles an hour. That changeup was 80 miles an hour. And he's also had a good curveball today. So a lot of strikes, no walks.
His ball strike ratio is about twice as many strikes as balls. Sinking action there and foul tipped. Scott makes his off-season home just down Bell Road here in Arizona, in Peoria. Rangers 2009 Pitcher of the Year, 17 and 8 that year. Last 2 years combined, 9 and 12. But they're dealing with some physical questions. The knee, of course, last year. And he gets Hannigan reaching for out number 2, and it's strikeout number 6.
Fooled him with a big curveball. Second strikeout with that curveball like that, with a hitter waving at a pitch way out of the strike zone. Hannigan had a pretty good pitch to hit. The pitch before it was a hanging cutter right down the middle of the plate, but he was out in front of it and fouled it off.
So here's the number 9 hitting shortstop, Yanish. Ball fly to left to begin the third. Yanish out of Cypress Creek High School and Rice University. Big part of the Owls' 2003 College World Series champions. First national championship in any sport for Rice. 4 years in the majors. Zach Cozart getting a long look in camp, and he's taken advantage. In 8 games, he's hitting .650, 8-game hitting streak. Cozart could become the first Reds rookie to start an opening day game at short since 1971, when Frank Duffy was their opening day starter. Second year in a row that happened. 1970 opening day shortstop was rookie Davey Concepcion. So that is the Yanish shortstop competition in camp.
Davey Concepcion is one of the better ball players I ever played with. I played with him down in winter ball for the Tigres de Aragua. And he was a national hero down there, and he was one of those Venezuelan players that got 600 at bats during the regular season, went home and got 250 more down in winter ball. He played all year round. Big part of the Big Red Machine.
Dusty Baker in 2010 managed the Reds to an NL Central Division championship. Another strikeout for Feldman. 2 in the inning. 7 for the game. Halfway done, and surprise, it's 12-0 Rangers. Day 21 is brought to you by Texans Can Academy. Right off the car, not the kid. And by the Really Big Sales Event. Real deals, big inventory now at your Honda dealer. Around and around, the Rangers lineup has been like a merry-go-round. Everybody gets on, everybody scores. Through 4.5 to the tune of a 12-0 lead. They have out-hit the Reds 13-3. And about to face the third Cincinnati pitcher of the ball game, left-hander Travis Webb. And the 2, 3, and 4 hitters, Andrews, Hamilton, and Beltre. Webb following 3 innings from the starter Jeff Francis, 11 runs on 11 hits. Nick Christiani worked through the 4th inning. Line shot right to the first baseman Cairo. And Elvis now 1 for 3. Christiani threw a ton of pitches.
It'll be interesting to see what Ron does with the lineup tonight. We're talking about the regulars playing deeper into games and playing more. This might test Ron tonight. The way the game has gone, he might have all his regulars with 4 at-bats before the 6th inning's over with.
Check swing, and in there for a strike to Josh. Josh has struck out, bounced to the mound, and driven a 2-run double to center field. Mainly what Dusty Baker would like here out of Webb is throw some strikes. Get the Reds defense off the field.
Get some quicker out so we can get that bus on the road a little quicker than it's looking like.
Why, that's Sonny Jim Sundberg down there.
Jim Sundberg, jack of all trades. You might see him in the boardroom. You might see him out teaching catching. Tonight you see him coaching on the Ranger bench. He can do it all.
And he just loves coming out here. It's very plain. He's all smiles doing any of those jobs.
Nobody wants to sit next to Sonny, but he's having a good time himself anyway.
And Hamilton down on strikes. Second time for Josh to strike out.
Pretty good fastball right on the inside corner.
Webb before tonight had worked only 1 inning in all of spring training. Beltre rolls one to Willie Harris, and Webb comes in throwing a minimum of pitches and gets the Rangers in order. That had not happened since the first inning. At the official online shop of the Texas Rangers, with the largest selection of authentic spring training gear, including clubhouse caps and t-shirts, jerseys, sweatshirts, and more. Get set for spring at the official online source, the TexasRangers.com shop. Well, most of the guys who put this 12-0 lead on the board have the rest of the night off, and you would have to say well-deserved, I think. That group has dominated tonight like no other game this spring, and so for the most part, brand new faces on the field. One exception on the mound, it's still Scott Feldman, and his battery mate remains Yorvi Torrealba. And the top of the order here in the 6th inning, Willie Harris, who has popped up twice.
Well, Scott in his last 2 outings has pitched into the 5th inning both times. He's reached his pitch count before he finished the 5th inning, but today he's not only finished the 5th, he's into the 6th, cruising along with no runs on 3 hits, no walks, and 8 strikeouts now,
including 3 straight strikeouts. Gave up a 1-out single to Jones in the 5th, struck out Hannigan swinging, Giannis swinging, and Harris swinging to begin the 6th. Scott Feldman razor sharp tonight for whatever his role may be, whether it's a long man in the bullpen, whether he's needed in the rotation. He looks ready for whatever may come his way, and just continues to fire strikes. Wilson Valdez has struck out and bounced to the mound. So, trying to get all the changes covered that we can. Julio Bourbon is out at center field, replacing Hamilton. Joey Butler is in right for Nelson Cruz. Brandon Snyder is in left for Murphy. Brad Hoff is at first for Moreland. Gilder Rodriguez is at third for Beltre. And Alberto Gonzalez at second for Kinsler. Luis Hernandez at short for Elvis Andrus. Captain making the rounds.
We thought we caught him in the booth. The camera tried to catch him, but he snuck out his camera shot. Wilson Valdez throws his hands up in the air. Doesn't like the call. He's 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Not real happy with the way the game's going. Let's take a look. Watch the glove. Watch the ball. That's strike 3, son. Either that or his glove was out of the strike zone. I guess that's possible.
4 consecutive strikeouts. 9 for the game through 5 2/3, and a big cut in the miss by Todd Frazier.
He's had a good assortment of pitches. We talked about his curveball. There's a good example of it right there to Todd Frazier for strike 1. And then he's had the cutter and the sinker breaking in 2 different directions. He's jammed the right-hand hitters, jammed the left-hand hitters. Pretty much kept the Reds hitters off balance all game. Todd Frazier was the star of the Toms River, New Jersey Little League World Series champs.
And thrown out by the new third baseman Gilder Rodriguez. And the Feldman roll now through 6 innings. A 3-hit shutout with 9 Ks. The bottom of the 6th with just about a brand new batting order and a new pitcher, the 4th pitcher of the evening, left-hander Bill Bray. And he follows the only effective pitcher Cincinnati has thrown out there, Travis Webb, who retired the side in order in the 5th, including a strikeout of Josh Hamilton. So in the Rangers 6th, Dusty Brown will lead off in the DH spot, where Michael Young with 3 for 3, 3 singles and scored 3 runs. And those hits was an infield single. This is the first outing this spring for Bill Bray. Rangers have been magnificent in every phase of the game, but this is hardly a representative Cincinnati Reds team that they have been facing tonight. Virtually nobody, with the exception of Jeff Francis, the starting pitcher, in the lineup figures to get much of a role once the regular season begins. And that one just out of the reach of Miguel Cairo. Scott Feldman tonight, 6 innings. Allows only 3 singles, 2 in the second to Francisco and Cairo, 1 in the 5th to Darrell Jones.
In a regular season game, the way Todd is, the way that Scott is cruising along, probably zip through 9 innings and not even work a sweat.
Probably could.
Remember, he's pitching on short rest too.
9 strikeouts, no walks, 79 pitches.
Definitely feeling good this spring.
The 2-2 from Gray, call strike 3. One gone at the bottom of the 6th. And that brings up Joey Butler, who has replaced Nelson Cruz in right field. They had a big day. 2-run double and a run in the 3rd, an RBI single in the 4th. Gray makes his home in Grapevine during the offseason, born in Virginia Beach.
And more players you see from other teams living in the Metroplex. Used to be just, you see a lot of Ranger players living in the Metroplex, but now there's players from teams all over baseball living in the Metroplex.
Originally a 1st-round pick, 13th overall in 04 by the Expos out of William and Mary. Acquired by the Reds, a multiplayer deal mid-season 2006. Gray last year, 79 appearances in a good year, 5-3 with a 298 earned run average. Lash to left and a base hit. Joey Butler joins the Ranger hit parade with number 14.
Job of hitting right there by Joey. Got a fastball down around the knees. Put a good swing on it. Hit that ball well. Seen Joey Butler a lot during spring training the last couple of years, getting some playing time at the big league level in spring training. Still trying to steadily climb through the minor leagues and get an opportunity to get to the big leagues during the regular season. Continues to make progress along those lines.
This is Brandon Snyder, who's taken over for David Murphy. Murphy had an RBI double and scored in the 2nd, and 2 groundouts. Reds with some defensive changes. Darrell Jones has moved from center to left field, and the new center fielder is Ryan Lamar. Feldman, who should be all smiles. Snyder alive at 0-2. Come here. Torrealba's going to stay in the game. He's come out into the on-deck circle. He is the only Ranger starter tonight who has yet to score. He did drive in a run. He had a sacrifice fly in the 3rd. 3 Rangers scored at least 2 runs tonight. Michael Young scored 3. 4 Rangers with multi-hit games. A 3-hitter through 6 for that man. 0-2 pitch just off the plate. Hannigan tried to frame it up for Toby Basler to raise his right hand. Not quite. Two balls, 2 strikes to Brandon. Hit into the gap, left center field, off the wall. Butler will be held at third. It's a double for Brandon Snyder.
Well, Brandon joins the hit parade. He got a pitch that he could handle, just drilled that to the deepest part of the field on a line. Looked like it short hops the wall out in left center field. Nice swing. Ball a little bit on the inside half of the plate too. And it did. Short hops the wall out there.
And as Jorvi Torrealba steps up, we welcome Scott Feldman, who joins us now for a moment or two. Scott, wow, how can you describe how well you pitched this game tonight?
What's up, guys? How you doing? You know, I just went out there and felt pretty good, and Elvis made a nice diving play to kind of keep the momentum going for me, and you know, just try to work quick, and now it's the 6th inning, I guess.
Scott, it looked like one of the things that was working for you real well tonight was getting your curveball over early in the count to get ahead in the count. It looked like that might have been maybe your best pitch tonight. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, I had pretty good command of the curveball. It was, and the changeup too. You know, I was able to kind of keep him off my fastball a little bit with that. But you know, just working with Torrey, you know, he called a good game for me, and we were just on the same page, and I just kind of went with what he was throwing down there, and it worked out pretty good tonight.
You're also pitching on short rest. Obviously, you're feeling pretty good this spring.
Yeah. You know, Mad Dog came to me after my last one and asked me if, you know, if I felt good enough to go on short rest, and, you know, I felt fine. You know, I'm not like a guy that throws real hard, sinker baller, so it actually sometimes can work to your advantage, I think. You know, I've heard that a lot. And I think for me, it's always sort of been the same way.
Scott, you've had to battle back from the knee. You had the microfracture surgery. You were pretty quiet about it. You never blamed any off outings on physical ailments that you had. Does it make it that much more satisfying to have a performance like this?
You know, it's just spring training right now, but obviously it's good when you can you know, have some good numbers up there and you know, feel good about it that way. But, you know, I think the main thing for spring training is just try and get a feel for all of your pitches. And, you know, I think as spring training goes along, that's what everybody's trying to do. And I felt like tonight I sort of hit my goal of, you know, being able to throw 4 pitches for a strike and, you know, just work in and out, keep the ball down.
Scott, when you talk about your injury and coming back from that, you had to feel during the season last year that you were back from your injury because you threw the ball well before postseason and then into postseason. When the season ended, you had to feel like that's a past issue. You're beyond that, right?
Yeah, you know, it was one of those deals where I could sleep easier at night because I was like, all right, I know I'm healthy, and you know, if I just suck at pitching, I suck at pitching, but at least I know I'm healthy.
Exactly.
So,
well, you don't suck at pitching, so
no,
don't worry about that.
So it made it better to, you know, it makes it better obviously to feel healthy again. Yeah.
Sure.
Everybody wants to start, but you know, you don't know what your role will be. Does it matter to you at this point? Is it just all about how you feel and trying to pitch up to this level?
I think you know, as long as I feel healthy, everything will work itself out, and that's a mindset I've tried to keep. Obviously, you know, there's certain jobs that are more, you know, I don't know how you say it, but I would rather do certain things than others. But you know, we've got a good team here, and I'm just going to try my best to stay healthy and go out there and compete when I'm in the game.
Well, the good thing about the spring, Scott, is you've been stretched out to do any role on the team, and you hope everybody stays healthy, but in the course of 162 games, there's opportunities, and you've placed yourself in a good position to take advantage of whatever opportunity there is by the work that you've done and being stretched out and pitching well.
Yeah, and hopefully everybody stays healthy, like you said. That's a big thing, and that was a big part of our success last year was the health of our starting pitchers, and they were all able to go out there and throw a bunch of innings and, get out there all the time. So hopefully that happens again this year, and we stay healthy, and, we're right back in the position we were last year, and we just, win that final game this year.
Well, Scott, some magnificent work from you tonight. 6 shutout innings, 3 hits, 9 strikeouts. Congratulations, and thanks for the visit tonight.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on there.
Good job, Scott.
Thank you.
As good as you can see Scott Feldman on top of every part of his game. The offense has more than done its job as Brad Hopp works the count to 2-2. That was taken over at first base for Mitch Moreland. Roster moves this afternoon. Mark Hamburger to AAA Round Rock. Sean Green assigned to the minor league camp. Joe Beimel, Connor Jackson, Mitch Stetter all released. And Bill Bray strikes out the side in the 6th. In between a Butler single and a Snyder double, but they are both left in scoring position. American League champions back to Texas and hear what they think about 2012 at the Rangers Welcome Home Luncheon presented by US Plus Foundation. And join us for lunch at the Arlington Convention Center on Thursday, April 5th. Get your tickets today at TexasRangers.com. Always a great event. Team gets back from Arizona and everybody gets in the mood for opening day, which will be the following afternoon at the ballpark. A 1:05 start. The Chicago White Sox will provide the opposition. And Scott Feldman gives way to Joe Nathan here in the 7th inning. With the new battery, Luis Martinez is behind the plate. On for the 6th time this year, Joe Nathan, whose numbers are no indication, obviously, of what he's going to do during the regular season.
I'd say, same with the hitters that aren't getting base hits. The big thing with Joe is he's healthy, he feels great, he's throwing the ball well. Might be missing his location from where he wants to be when the season starts, but the biggest thing is he's healthy and he's throwing the ball well. Throwing with good velocity. He's happy with the way he feels. The command and those kind of things click into gear when they need to.
This is Ryan Lamar. in the cleanup spot, where Ryan Ludwig went 0 for 2.
This is a part of spring training where a closer will get a lot of work. He's going to throw back-to-back days. He pitched just 2 days ago, pitching tonight, and then rather pitching in a day game tomorrow, day game after a night game, he'll get 7 or 8 hours extra time and pitch in one of the minor league games tomorrow night. So after tomorrow night, he will have pitched 3 out of 4 days, and those are things that you have to do to make sure you're ready when the season starts. On opening day, you know, you may play 3 2-1 games to start the season. The closer has to be ready, has to be available, and so you have to build up to that and do that during spring training. And this is the point in time where he's going to get that back-to-back outing, and 3 out of 4 days.
Strikeout of Lamar, the 10th strikeout by Ranger pitching tonight. And here's Juan Francisco, the DH, who has one of those strikeouts, and he also has one of the 3 hits. A single with 1 out in the second. He is the only Red to get as far as second base tonight.
Curveball, 2 of them in that at bat so far to Francisco. First strike in that one.
Yeah, these 2 at bats. I mean, they're not against all-stars, but this is the way you expect Joe Nathan to throw once the games start to count.
The thing about those 2 curveballs is they're going to get anybody out.
Yep.
It's not like he dropped a hanging curveball in there and a minor league hitter missed it. Those were good pitches.
Another good one right there. He retires Francisco unassisted. Miguel Cairo, the veteran's gone all the way at first base. Singled his first time up, flied to center in the 5th. Rangers come right back tomorrow afternoon against the San Diego Padres here in Surprise Stadium. 3 o'clock Central Time, and a webcast. And Tom, you will be part of the webcast, correct?
I will be part of the webcast with Christopher Blake. I've told Christopher I'm feeling a little bit of laryngitis coming on. Probably going to hit about maybe 1:15 tomorrow, so he better be ready.
Don't listen to a bit of that.
He might have to carry the broadcast tomorrow.
As a matter of fact, he should do 5 innings now. Just for even throwing that Weasley excuse out there. Your voice has never sounded better, Tom.
It'll be a bad webcast if I had to do 5 innings. I'm counting on Chris carrying. Chris is going to carry that webcast. There's Chris right here. Tomorrow's broadcaster, ready to go.
TexasRangers.com. You won't want to miss that again. 3 o'clock Central tomorrow. Rangers Padres. And then we will be back on TXA 21 Wednesday night, 8 o'clock here at Surprise Stadium. Rangers will be the visiting team against Kansas City. That's the next Derek Holland start against Luke Hochaber. And an impressive 1-2-3 seventh turned in by Nathan with a couple of strikeouts. Stadium, a game that has not been in doubt since the second inning, where the Rangers put 5 runs on the board, now 12-0, and the two very talented principals coming your way on the webcast tomorrow. Chris Blake, Tom Green.
You're just about half right on that one. Chris is going to be the play-by-play guy tomorrow on our webcast. Looking forward to doing that game. I told Chris, make sure you're prepared. He assures me he is ready to go.
I normally would come out to the park. Now I think I'm going to find a computer and sit back and listen.
Just go out by the pool, get a pina colada, prop your feet up, and listen to the webcast.
A lot of good ideas.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Jose Arredondo pitching the 7th inning. If you're half as good as the pairing of Ron Washington and Jackie Brown, boy.
I'd say it's more like Mel Allen and Red Barber, probably.
Well, okay. Shoot for the stars.
Something like that.
Go
Chris
right for the very
Chris doesn't
top.
even know who those guys are.
Alberto Gonzalez took over at second base for Ian Kinsler. Ian had a 2-run homer in the second, singled and scored in the 4th. The home run was his team leading 4th of the spring. Last 2 pitchers for Dusty Baker have been effective. Travis Webb worked a 1-2-3-5. Bill Bray struck out the side around 2 hits in the 6th. Another roller here to Valdez. Kids can go run in the backyard at Rangers Ballpark in climate-controlled comfort in the new enclosed Kids Zone behind Vandergrift Plaza. The Kids Zone features interactive areas, video games, kids concessions, and kid-sized Rangers merchandise. Big kids will have fun climbing, sliding, and jumping, and little kids will enjoy stacking boxes, turning the windmill, and appearances from Rangers captain. Both will be surrounded by Texas imagery and a unique Rangers feel, and the whole family will appreciate restrooms located within the Kids Zone, including a family restroom. The Kids Zone is open during all Rangers home games. The area is also available for special event rental on non-game days. So email specialevents@texasrangers.com for details. A big part of the off-season work at Rangers Ballpark, along with the Batter's Eye Club, Captain Morgan Club, the Kid Zone, out beyond center field. Julio Borbón in the 3 spot on deck after Luis Hernandez hits. And sprays that one out of range of Darryl Jones. Hernandez replacing Elvis Andrus, who went 1 for 3 with a run scored. And 3 balls and 2 strikes. Most of the damage came against the starter Jeff Francis, who in his first 4 spring appearances had a .277 earned run average, 13 innings, had allowed 12 hits, struck out 8, and did not walk a batter. That one is going to fall out at center field. A base hit for Hernandez. Base hit number 16 for the Rangers. Francis at his 3 innings, 11 runs, 11 hits, 4 strikeouts, and his first spring walk. Scott Coolbaugh, Rangers hitting coach on the right. Greg Maddux, newly added to the Ranger staff in the middle. Bobby Jones on the left. This one lifted by Borbón out to left field, and Jones puts away out number 2. Well, if you're a Ranger pitcher, it's almost an embarrassment of riches. Where do you go for advice? You can go to Mike Maddux, as good a pitching coach as there is. You can go to his brother Greg. all those Cy Youngs, and the Nolan Wright is always there to lean on as well. I don't know if any franchise, not within memory, has had that kind of pitching brain trust stacked up to support a staff like this.
Yeah, it's pretty rare to have 2 300-game winners on your staff.
So those pitchers who have worked with Greg Maddux just rave about the things that he can point out to them. And Nolan has done that, of course, all along since coming back to the franchise. Greg Maddux helping people out with things like how to set up a hitter. Little seemingly minor mechanical adjustments that can be things that pay off big during the course of the game. As Gilbert Rodriguez works a walk. He took over third for Beltreg. And with 2 outs, 2 on now for Dusty Brown. Arredondo starts in with a strike.
Arredondo came up with the Angels, maybe 3 years ago. And boy, he was a good looking relief pitcher. Had some injury problems, so he's kind of trying to bounce back from those. He came up, it looked like with the Angels, he had a chance to be a closer. He went 10-2 with a 1.62 ERA in 2008. Only 42 hits in 61 innings. Didn't pitch quite as well in 09, then didn't play at all in 2010. Last year he got back to the big leagues with Cincinnati and did a good job.
Brown knew that was a 3-pitch strikeout. No runs, a hit, 2 men left, and we go to the 8th. Still 12-0 Rangers. At 6:05 p.m., the first 10,000 kids 13 and under will get to go home with a blue Elvis Andrus jersey, sponsored by Dr. Pepper. Come out and watch the Rangers take on the Chicago White Sox. And kids will also get $1 Bluebell ice cream. We roll on into the 8th inning, and the third Ranger pitcher of the night will be Mike Adams. He follows a 1-2-3, 2 strikeout 7th, turned in by Joe Nathan. And you go back to the 2nd inning, and Feldman and Nathan have retired 17 of the last 18 Reds hitters. The only man to reach since the second inning, Darrell Jones, who singled with 1 out back in the 5th, and he leads off against Adams here in the 8th. In many minds, the top setup man in baseball last year. Hampered, as it turned out, a good part of last year by what was finally diagnosed as a hernia. Like I said before the game, that's the last thing he thought he was dealing with. He was really surprised when it was finally discovered to be the problem. There were days where it didn't bother him at all, days where it was really quite painful. But it's fixed now. And this pop-up claimed by Bourbon.
I got to go to a banquet this winter on the Caravan. We went to Texas A&M Kingsville, where Mike was a pitcher, and he was inducted into their Hall of Fame. It was a great occasion down there. Big honor for Mike. Mike and his whole family were there. He was a little bit concerned at that time in the winter that he might be a little bit behind for spring training. And he probably was right at the beginning, but I think he's pretty much right about where he wants to be right now. He's all caught up. He's throwing the ball well. He'll be ready to go on opening day.
Yeah, it was definitely the sense I got from visiting with him a little bit before the day. All smiles, and he's put that particular injury behind him. Another major weapon, the Ranger bullpen. He and Alexi Ogando ready to set things up for Joe Nathan, who was razor sharp in his inning tonight. Ryan Hannigan has struck out both times against Scott Feldman, looking in the 2nd, swinging in the 5th. Balls and a strike. Nathan with a couple of strikeouts in the 7th inning. 11 strikeouts between Joe and Scott Feldman tonight. That will fall for a base hit out at short left field, fielded by Snyder. Hannigan with just the 4th single of the night for Cincinnati.
Hit that ball right off the end of the bat. That's why it had the funny sound, and that's why it fell in front of Snyder in left field. Wasn't hit very hard.
So Hannigan aboard with 1 out. And here is the former Rice Owl, Paul Yanish, who has flied to left and struck out. That one hit pretty well. Chased down by Snyder with a diving catch for out number 2.
Nice play. Got to the ball. Had to come in just a little bit right at the end. Big smile on his face, and he went airborne for that one. A lot of times you'll see a player dive to catch a ball he doesn't really have to dive for. I don't think this is one of them. This is one where he has to go all the way out to catch that one. He's a big guy, but he showed a nice athletic move to make that play. You're able to watch that on the highlight reels.
Yeah, the full layout was definitely required to get that one.
I like the ones where the outfielder comes in and basically catches the ball about knee high and then does an all-out dive forward after he catches the ball. Occasionally he'll fool the people that pick the highlights and they'll put it up on the highlights, but really you can turn a routine catch into what looks to the fans like a spectacular catch sometimes. That wasn't one of them, though. That was a really nice diving catch.
Willie Harris 0 for 3, 2 pop-ups and a strikeout. Pitching's been so dominant tonight. There's really only been one other difficult play, and that was a diving line drive caught by Andrews. Todd Frazier leading off the 4th. The other outs have been strikeouts or very difficult outs. That's a foul tip for strike 2, 1-2. Central not sizing up to be the division it was last year. Milwaukee has had to say goodbye to Prince Fielder. St. Louis no longer the home of Albert Pujols or Tony La Russa for that matter. Reason for optimism in Cincinnati tonight notwithstanding. He won the Central year before last after all. Called strike 3. No runs to hit, a man left in the Cincinnati 8th. Baseball on TX 821 is brought to you by Sonic. It's new, it's better, it's the new Sonic Good. And by Sports City Toyota. Go to sportscitytoyota.com. We'll deliver anywhere in Texas. Jose Arredondo will pitch the 8th inning as well for Cincinnati. He worked a scoreless 7th, worked around a single by Luis Hernandez and a walk by Gilder Rodriguez. 12 runs on 16 base hits, no errors for the Rangers, no runs on 4 singles, no errors for the Reds. Second and final meeting of the spring between these two. And in the Ranger 8th, Joey Butler to lead things off. He singled off Bill Bray back in the 6th after replacing Nelson Cruz. Rangers were retired in order in the 1st. That was the highlight of the night for the Reds. They got to Jeff Francis for 5 runs on 6 hits in the 2nd, 3 runs on 3 hits in the 3rd. As Butler goes down on strikes.
Arredondo, I mentioned he pitched with the Angels a few years ago, and his fastball then was mid-90s, and that strikeout pitch, the splitter that he just got Joey Butler with, was just a devastating pitch for him. A really good opponent's batting average. Then he fell off the next year and got hurt, but he made a nice comeback with Cincinnati. It looks like he's throwing the ball pretty well now.
Brandon Snyder doubled off Bill Bray in the 6th. All the Ranger runs scored in the second, third, and fourth. 4-run fourth on 4 base hits. And they left the bases loaded. And Mark Lowe preparing to work the 9th inning. As impressive as the offense has been, 3 pitchers used so far have been equally impressive. Feldman for 6 shutout innings, 3 hits, 9 strikeouts, did not walk a batter. Joe Nathan struck out 2 in a 1-2-3 7th. Adams allowed only a single by Hannigan. And picked up a strikeout in the 8th. As we said, tomorrow, 3 o'clock webcast on TexasRangers.com. Rangers in San Diego. Back here at Surprise Wednesday night, the Kansas City Royals will be the home team. It will be Derek Holland against Luke Poche. A great pitching matchup here on TXA 21. Hope you can join us for that 8 o'clock Wednesday. Giannis only able to knock that one down with the slide over at shortstop, and Snyder is 2 for 2. Base hit number 17 for the Rangers. Brandon Snyder with 2 of them.
Brandon's got his spring average up to 320 now. He's done a good job during the spring. I think he's opened up some eyes. Played himself into the kind of role where if there's a need, he'd be a candidate.
Here is Luis Martinez. Yorvi Torrealba had a sacrifice fly to him. Broken bat to third. Valdez gets the out at second. So Martinez with 2 outs aboard on the fielder's choice. Talk about sawing off a bat. Right in the middle of the stick. Exploded.
Oh, not an easy play for Valdez at third base, but he handled it well.
And Brad Hopp in the number 9 spot looks at a strike. Mitch Moreland had a good night, a 2-run single and a run scored in the second, and a bases loaded walk in the 4th. Base hit to center field. Almost all the starters had at least 1 base hit. In fact, all of them except Yorvi Torrealba, and now many of the backups with a base hit as well. Hopp with that sweeping stroke, putting 2 on with 2 outs, and back to the top of the order. And Alvaro Gonzalez took over for Ian Kinsler at second base. Kinsler tonight 2 for 4, including a 2-run home run. Well, you know you've had yourself an offensive night when 12 different Rangers have hits. Of course, during the regular year, you'll not that often have games where 12 guys even play, even have at bats, much less have base hits. The tone was set in the 5-run second, and there's been no backing off ever since. Look ahead of the rest of the week. Thursday, we're also back here on TXA 21, 8 o'clock. Matt Harrison will get the start against the San Francisco Giants here at Surprise. And then Friday night, at 9 on TXA 21. Rangers and Colorado, and Yu Darvish is slated to go on Friday night at 9.
Well, Gonzalez fired the bat at Dusty Baker, and Dusty tossed it right back to him. Fans like that. Gonzalez got a little bit of a smile out of it.
High pop up, first base. Foul territory, back to fair territory, right on top of the bag. Miguel Cairo makes the play. So no runs on 2 hits and 2 men left, and the Ranger 8th. Look out, Dusty Baker. Three outs away from the most convincing victory for the Rangers this spring. This will improve the record to 7-16 with a tie. And on to finish it off is Mark Lowe.
All right, you've seen a good inning from Joe Nathan, the closer. A good inning from Mike Adams, the setup man. And now one of the other setup men is Mark Lowe, kind of pitching in reverse order.
Seventh outing of the year for the Houston product. 2, 3, and 4 hitters are due up. Wilson Valdez, Todd Frazier, and Ryan Lamar. Bullpen so far has gone 2 innings, allowing 1 hit, striking out 3. Nathan and Adams. And a fastball strike at the knees at 95 miles an hour. Valdez struck out in the first, bounced to the mound in the third, caught looking in the 6th. 0-2. They haven't looked like it tonight. They've hardly thrown any frontliners at all at the Rangers in this game, but reason for optimism in Cincinnati. You mentioned the losses for both the Brewers and the Cardinals. Nice play by Gonzalez just to get to that ball. No chance on the throw, and Valdez is aboard with an infield single.
He turned in at bat where it looked like Mark was going to just dominate him into a base hit. Took a 95-mile-an-hour pitch for a strike, missed what looked like a slider by a considerable margin, then got the 0-2 pitch, got just enough on it to get an infield hit.
Billy Hamilton will pinch run for Valdez. And Todd Frazier, the batter. 0 for 3, fouls that pitch back. Dusty Baker, 2 years ago, became one of only 6 managers in Major League history to win a division title with 3 different clubs. Of course, Dusty took the 2002 Giants to the World Series. They fell to the Angels. 5th year in Cincinnati now. Low out in front of both hitters. 0-2. And he puts away Frazier as Hamilton takes second base. And becomes only the 2nd Cincinnati Red tonight to get as far as second.
And no one was holding him on first base. That was probably indifference. Brad Hopp is well behind him. That's why you can see Martinez catch the ball and not even look to throw it. He knew he didn't. By the time he caught the ball, the runner was almost to second base.
So 1 out, and here is Ryan Lamar. Brad Hopp into foul territory for out number 2. And Juan Francisco now. Last chance for Cincinnati to avoid the shutout. Francisco got the first of their 5 base hits, a 1-out single in the 2nd. He's the only other Red to get to second base tonight. Cincinnati has struck out and bounced one to Nathan, who made the play unassisted back in the 7th inning. Foul territory. Rodriguez over for a look, but well out of play. Mark Lowe throwing strikes here ahead of everybody. $6,962 are attendance in Surprise Stadium tonight. Vast majority Ranger fans, vast majority very happy what they've seen tonight. Away from completing a 4-man shutout.
Nice play by the fan. Ball bounced, hit the edge of the dugout, right into the stands. He jumped up and caught it. And he looks like he's got a Royals uniform on. Nice play. Of course, the Royals share this complex with the Rangers. When the Rangers aren't playing here, the Royals are.
Well hit left field. Snyder looking up. So much for the shutout. It's down to their last strike. And Juan Francisco with a 2-run blast makes it 12-2.
Pretty good power by Francisco right there to drive that ball out in left field. It's cooler air tonight, no wind, so it wasn't a ball that was aided by the elements. He just got a pitch out over the plate, trying to drive that. You can see the catcher putting his glove high ahead in the count, was trying to get Mark to get him to chase a high fastball out of the strike zone. Instead, it was pretty much right down the middle of the plate, and that's why Francisco was able to do that with it.
I think he was able to do it because I used the dreaded phrase "one more strike." I've got to wipe that from my vocabulary.
Well, you got to get ready for the regular season too, so you learn those things. Not a whole lot of emphasis being placed on shutouts in spring training.
So 12-2. Miguel Cairo, a single in 3 trips. Getting started with the infield hit by Valdez. Lowe then struck out Frazier, got Lamar to foul out, got ahead of Francisco 1 and 2. Check swing here, and Rodriguez across the hop, and that will do it. And the Rangers, with dominant offense, dominant pitching, and flawless defense, turn in a 12-2 victory.